And we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office. I'm here with George McClellan. Good morning, George. How are you? We've got a couple things we want to define in the 50 minutes we have.
Listen.
Yes, sir.
If you decide to play tennis, don't get a little skippy shorts. Wear them things you wore at the memorial service the other day to go down to your knees. They're white, and they give you plenty of air around your body, because you're not going to last long out there anyway. And if you go tubing,
All right, point well.
if you go tubing,
He's right.
make sure you don't take glass bottles. I mean, your beer, take them in cans, because the rocks are so pointed now that they'll endanger breaking it, and we don't want glass in the river. I mean, just warn
Yeah, we
inside.
don't want glass. You know what? I'm with you. I can't stand. I don't want to get inside here. Glass in the river, broken glass. I want to enjoy the river. I don't want to go in there and get my foot cut, things like that. George, let's go 1, 2, 3. Let's start.
Let's get on with it.
Let's start. Well, let's start with today is the Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton speech. Now, he was going to give this speech last week, but in the light of the Orlando massacre, he felt it was appropriate to wait. And then, as a gentleman as he is, people think he hates women, he's allowed Hillary to get out there and do her attack. She attacked him yesterday on the economy and so many things. So she's back on the attack, so he's going to deliver his speech today. What do you think we'll hear from him, and how do you think this will resonate?
Well, I've said all along that any of the Republican candidates could beat Hillary Clinton, because she has nothing to defend. She can only defend the fact that she's a woman and it's time for a woman in the White House. She has not got a record that's defensible. It's 4 years as Secretary of State.
So what you're saying, wait a minute, what you're saying is the only thing that she really is peddling right now
is against Trump.
She's a woman and it's time for a woman in the White House.
That's it.
And I think you and I would both agree, because we have Margaret Thatcher's book right up here. We're not opposed
to a woman in the White House. Just not her.
Right, but she thinks because she's a woman and it's time. And that's
her
really
time.
all.
It's her time.
It's her time. And that's all really she has to run on.
That's it. And there's so much stuff coming up now. The Romanian, there's a Romanian hacker, another one, who's tapped into the DNC. The Democratic National Committee is even so concerned about Hillary's program, the Clinton Foundation, that they are investigating it just to make sure something doesn't explode in their face.
Guccifer number 2.
Guccifer number 2 is exactly right. So we have Hillary's Clinton and Trump a criminal, and Trump calls her criminal.
Crooked Hillary.
Crooked Hillary, that's the word. I knew it started with a C. Crooked Hillary, and he's not wrong. He's not wrong, and he's got to, and the Republicans have got to get on board and just start hammering away at that. Hammering away. Do what the Democrats always do. Just keep that out there. Yes, I started
reading the documents yesterday afternoon. I had to go to a zoning meeting last night, and
a zoning meeting
in Blue Ridge. A zoning meeting last night in Blue Ridge, and then I was able to watch 2 innings of College World Series, which really upset me. I would rather watch College World Series than to put up with even any politics or anything. Baseball is baseball. But I started watching a little bit of the document dumps, and I mean, they're dumping documents that talk about her travel as a senator. They're pretty deep documents that they're dumping, and I'm wondering what Trump's going to come out with today in his speech. Now, he's launching crookedhillary.com website.
It's already launched. One of the big issues now is the fact that Hillary was on the Nuclear Advisory Committee as a senator, and she okayed and arranged for that Canadian fellow to buy America's uranium supply,
yes,
to sell it to Russia.
Yes.
And that is now starting to rise again. It's coming up, and it's going to radiate. It's going to make her whole thing radioactive. Her whole campaign is going to become radioactive.
Well, here is crookedhillary.com. Okay.
This website is for sale. You want to buy it?
Well, I'm not for sure that they don't refer to everything Hillary does is for sale. There is Trump is going to explain today the blood money. That's my thought. He says she's taking blood money. Now, folks out there are hearing that she raised $43 million. You need to look at where she's bringing that $43 million in from. Now, this would be a direct opposite when we talk about Elizabeth Warren being a running mate.
It's not going to happen.
Well, I tell you what, I thought Pocahontas might be the running mate, but they have to get a running mate that's going to turn a blind eye to where Hillary's getting money from. I mean, Bernie Sanders attacked this lady for months on end about Wall Street, and she couldn't give what he said. Mm-hmm. She's going to get her money where she wants to get her money. She does not care who you are, period.
That's right. That's right.
And where hedge funds, where do you think she's getting her money? So Elizabeth Warren would be a direct contrast to what Hillary is doing.
She needs somebody. She represents the Northeast. Elizabeth Warren represents the Northeast. She needs somebody from the South or from the far West or the Midwest. She does not need another clone of her. The same thing applies to Trump. If he would pick Christie would be a good administrator of the vice president's office, but they're both from the Northeast. Trump needs somebody from somewhere else, and not necessarily a governor or a senator, but he needs somebody from somewhere else to balance out, particularly the Midwestern evangelicals. That's where Trump will go with that. I'm almost convinced of it. But we're talking about a possible candidate for this woman. They've got to be crooked or accept her illegality to even want to do that job.
Well, let's see what Trump says today. First of all, they're amazed. I was getting ready for the show this morning, and I got MSNBC on in the background, and they are amazed around the round table that, and the way they say it, George, is they'll say, after weeks of bad news for Trump, after weeks of bad weeks, disastrous weeks, and they go on and on with that with Trump, they're still amazed that he is even in Ohio and even in Pennsylvania. Now, I'm telling you right now, I think there's a generation out there that will read about Vince Foster, will read about Whitewater, will read about Ron Brown, because when all the things that took place in the Hillary, that are still taking place, but all the other things that took place in the corruption and the people that just dropped dead around the Clintons. I mean, you get close, you just fall over. And, they faint at Obama's rallies. They get close to Hillary, they just drop. They drop, and we never hear anything else.
Another issue's coming in, too. That's that book by the Secret Service agent who stood at Clinton's door. I mean, that guy was a rapist, a complete, total sexual deviant.
George, I'm glad you brought that up because I don't quite understand that. You have been in investigations before, and you understand. You're standing watch at the door, and you're to pretend you don't hear anything. You're to pretend you don't know anything, and you actually sign paperwork that says you didn't see or hear anything. You're just there to defend the President of the United States. But in his post, he's seen what he says he saw, and it happened. I believe it.
Yeah.
Why would he lie?
Well, he's not. He doesn't need to lie, and he needs to. His motivation is put a stop to this criminality, and the only way you can do it is expunge their character, the record, and shine light on it. Light is the best disinfectant.
You see, I used the word seen and saw in the same sentence just to bug my friend Joanne because it bothers her.
But Joanne is affected by that.
Yeah,
Joanne, if you're watching, it was a mistake. He did not mean it,
yes.
And he will retract and recant.
Anyhow, that bugs her. I get messages from her on that. Anyhow, I don't get my scenes and saws and correct very often. Anyhow, that being said, the Secret Service agent's coming out with this book that is a takedown, and one of his Bill's ex-girlfriends. There's another one coming out. I think people will read this time. Before we didn't have the internet. Donald Trump is not the racist the Clintons are.
That's right.
Okay. If you read this, Now you're gonna have to look the CIA guy in the eye and say you're a liar. You're a no good liar if you don't believe this. Donald Trump's not the bigot, the Clintons are. Everything that Donald Trump's accused of, this book says the Clintons. That's who they are.
That's their standard operating procedure.
Right.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting a little far out on that, but today is the Crooked Hillary. One more thing is they may not like it, but you know how conventions are. You have to come out with something out of the convention that sinks into your brain and sears in. It's hard to see Marco Rubio now and not say little Marco. I like him, but it's hard to do that. It's hard to see Ted Cruz on the floor of the Senate and not think Lying Ted, right? Whether you like that, whether you think it's schoolyard, whatever, Crooked Hillary is branded. It's seared. They will say Crooked Hillary so many times during the convention. He will say Crooked Hillary so many times that when you go over and you see the ballot and you see Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, your brain in front of Hillary Clinton will say crooked. Right?
Yep.
I think so.
It works, yeah. Well, she'll do the same thing. The Democrats have done it for years.
Well,
They brand all of us as racist, homophobic, now it's Islamophobic, like those are crimes. No, those are self-defense mechanisms. But we are shamed by being called those things because we don't agree.
One of my favorite convention lines. I've heard lines and lines, but I'm talking about convention lines. Sadly enough, came from the Democrat convention. Sadly enough, came from a liberal that her daughter is now head of Planned Parenthood.
Well, yeah,
but former Governor
Texas,
Ann Richards.
Ann Richards,
And Ann Richards stood up at the convention and said, she used her Texas accent, and she said, poor George can't help it. He was born with a silver foot in his mouth.
Yep.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
That's it.
So, Crooked Hillary. All right. Loretta Lynch, before we go to break, goes down. This is why Trump is resonating. She goes down and she tells the Orlando people that, we need the Beatles right now. Give peace a chance. Love. Whatever we could do.
Yeah.
Yes, we need more love, more compassion.
That's how to defeat Islam.
That's how we'll defeat them. But she says, off the top of my head, almost quoting, that we may not know the actual motive of the killer. George, is that simple enough why Trump is resonating in this country? Because you and I, Lonnie, everybody
we
at the grocery store knows what happened.
We absolutely know. I'm going to talk about it in my final moments here. That subject. Yes, we know what the problem is. Yeah, we know.
But the Attorney General said we may not ever know the motive.
Yeah, because the poor sot is dead. But they let his wife go. In other words, they did not secure her, and now she's escaped. She's floating around somewhere in hiding, and she's a co-conspirator now. She was with him when he bought ammunition. She was with him when he went to the gun range to fire off a few rounds. She's a co-conspirator, and she has just disappeared.
Maybe it's me, George, but I like for things to add up. That's just the way I am. I like for things to add up. It's my personality type. So if you came to me today and you said, hey, I want to quick claim you're my brother. I want to quick claim your deed over of your house over into your name. I want to do that. I'd have to say, no, wait a minute. You're going to have to explain why you feel it's important to put the deed of your house in my name. You're going to have to explain that. Now, I appreciate the kind gesture of giving me a house. I know we're family, but you're going to need to explain that. Why that brother has not been brought in that got his house, why that mosque has not been gone through.
Or leveled with bulldozers.
Why, and then we have an attorney general to say we may never actually know the motive. Let's find out the motive of why he put his house in his brother's name. I know the motive. What say you?
Well, the motive is written in the verses of the Quran. That's the playbook. They all read that playbook. They all follow that playbook. It's taught to them and repeated to them constantly in their mosques, and it's on the internet if they go to the sites. And that's just the way it is. That's if they're Islamic and they want world subjugation, and the word Islam means to submission.
How will the Democrats? Well, first of all, the gun thing. We're not jumping around, but it all goes together. They want us to believe it's a gun problem, and I know this sounds insensitive, but the 4 gun measures on the floor, all jokes aside, realistically, they were just set for lawmakers to run for cover, and they were just run for cover bills so everybody could go back home. Isn't it disgusting? Aren't we at a disgusting point in this country where lawmakers are so shallow and so self-absorbed and to the point evil that they would go and perpetrate a show on the floor of the Senate and the House to get to go home and tell you they tried for your vote?
Well, the voting is over. It was, and we returned all of them to office. We returned them into office. You might as well have said all 4 jokes aside, because that's what those 4 gun bills were.
They were all set up so Senator so-and-so could go back to this state and run a commercial. Against Senator so-and-so could go back to this state and run a commercial. If you were a Republican, there's no difference. There's no gray area between Republicans and Democrats on many days, okay? No gray area. So if you are a Republican and you need to go home and you need to look a little moderate in your state, you could say you supported it. Every vote, if you go down through there, are cover votes. They had meetings before, that's what they do, and they say, you need to vote yes. You can vote no because it doesn't matter back home for you. You need to vote no, and you need to vote yes, and it's all set up, and it's also you can go home and tell people you tried.
I agree. I can't disagree with what you said. It's, the parties want to stay in power. They want power and control, and for that to happen, everybody's got to march in lockstep. There's 14 congressmen who do not. That's the Congressional Conservative Caucus, Tea Partiers.
Is that the Freedom Caucus?
Yes.
I'm your host, BKP, here with George McCullough. When we come back, we got a couple more topics. We're going to come right back. We want to talk about Brexit. What is that? It's not breakfast. It's Brexit, and you're starting to hear about it. You've been hearing about it here for weeks. You're hearing it out on some other shows now, and it's a vote that's taking place in the EU tomorrow. So we're going to cover that before we get to George's final thoughts of the day. I'm your host, BKP, here with George McClellan. Good morning from the office. Lonnie, take us a break.
Truck Month is back at your new Days Chevrolet in Jasper with savings up to $8,000 off MSRP. Right now, get a roomy new Chevy Equinox for just $23,200, or get Days max discount on a new Silverado Crew Cab, just $31,900, plus instant easy credit with Days Fast Track Credit Center. But these Truck Month savings won't last long. Get to Days Chevrolet in Jasper, where Chevy cars and trucks cost less.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
Announcing Pizza Hut's new Applewood smoked bacon and melty cheese, stuffed in the crust. Pizza Hut's bacon stuffed crust pizza is here, now with Applewood smoked bacon and loaded with cheese in one irresistible crust. Just $12.99, only at Pizza Hut.
You're making me crazy.
El Rey and Ellijay.
El Rey Mexican Restaurant.
Family owned and operated, and a local favorite for families, parties, and meetings.
Great prices.
Friendly service and delicious Mexican cuisine.
Patio dining available.
Come sing in Carlos's Cantina every Friday 9 to 1.
Eat in or takeaway.
Same location for 14 years. Open 7 days at the corner of Maddox Drive and 515. North Georgia's favorite Mexican cuisine. El Rey in Ellijay.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
I'm Sheriff Dane Kirby, and I'll stand up for you.
I'm Stacy Nicholson, Sheriff of Gilmer County, and I will stand up for you.
Stand up and speak out. No matter how rich, cool, talented you believe yourself to be, how you treat people ultimately tells all. I am Allison Sosby, District Attorney, and I'll stand up for you.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart.
Only Pizza Hut delivers 2 medium pizzas any way you want for just $6.99 each. Get any 2 freshly made pizzas with high quality, fresh ingredients and sauce made with California vine ripened tomatoes. Now get your favorite specialty recipes like Meat Lovers, Backyard Barbecue Chicken, or 5-pepper pepperoni. So you never have to compromise with any quality toppings, any crust, any specialty. Anything you want on any 2 medium pizzas, just $6.99 each. Only at Pizza Hut.
Switch and save at Schottenkirk Ford. Find quality pre-owned trucks under $20,000 and not just Fords. We have all the best makes and models. Shop the best selection of certified pre-owned Fords in the area. Switch today and shop our network of over 500 pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. We'll even deliver it to you. Plus, every vehicle sold comes with Schottenkirk Customer Care, which offers you extra protection for no extra charge. Make the switch to Schottenkirk Ford in Jasper. Online at SchottenkirkFordJasper.com.
KP, 1 hour is just not enough here. Some days with the subject matter that we have in front of us. I'm your host. Good morning from the office here with George McClellan. George, tomorrow, Brexit, we've been talking about it. The British people will go to the poll, and buddy, it is one heck of a campaign there. They're going to vote whether to stay in the EU or leave the EU. Generally, for me, people across the world, including the United States of America, are ready to determine the will of the people, to determine their boundaries. They want to define their countries. They want to define their own immigration. They want to decide their own trade policies. And this is some of the general things that they'll be voting on tomorrow. Share a little bit of your thoughts on Brexit and what you see the people over there really looking at.
I think the EU was designed originally to fail. It's a single government trying to hold together individual states. The people who make up the leadership are people not elected by are politicians not elected by people in the various states, but just politicians appointed by the governments of those states to represent them. And they are producing laws that are inimical to the best interests of each and every state, except Germany, probably. The Germans are very good at running in their economy, and they probably are the biggest voice in the European Union. Well, Britain is faced with rules that require them to accept this horde of Muslims coming in there, overrunning them. There's probably, in 1 year, as many Muslims go into England as constitutes and I heard this from the British, that constitutes the population of Binghamton. That many Muslims a year flow into England. 10 years from now, all of England's MPs, their local governments, particularly the local government, city government, will all be Muslim, regardless. And that's the end of the England we have known and loved, and the source of our jurisprudence, our common law, and our Western civilization. That's the heart of it. Well, it's happening in Germany now. That's a lesson we should be taking here now. Brexit, when the British leave, they will be punished by the EU by large tariffs and taxes. But the Brits can really get around that by increasing their trade with America, increasing their trade with Canada, Mexico, states outside of the EU. But the EU is going to fall anyway. They're collapsing anyway, and that's the reason the English are getting out. The Brits are getting out is because they see that and they don't want to go down with that ship.
Well, George, what I see is all of the subject matter that you're talking about is correct, but what I see is I see the will of the people. And it doesn't matter where you're at. If you're in Germany, if you're in the UK, where you're at, the will of the people. And my thought is there's a group out there, which is true, that do not want to allow the voice and the will of the people to happen. I mean, the IMF is they're a nervous wreck that what if?
That's one world.
What if the will of the people? What if this leave vote goes through, and the people in Germany think, why can't we do it?
No, the Germans won't think that. It's the Danes are worried about, then the Swedes, and then Spain and Greece, and then probably Italy in that order, or Greece, Spain, and Italy.
Are you sure the German government?
No,
what about the German people?
The Germans don't care. They're making money. They've got a prosperous economy. Their big problem now is they're overrun by too many Muslims.
Okay. But what if other countries decide to remove out of this?
Well, England will open the gate. Greece will follow. Spain will follow. Italy will follow, in that order.
Well, Cameron's even saying that this will ignite the independent vote from who again?
Scotland?
Yes.
Well, also Catalonia and Spain.
Yeah.
And the north half of Italy wants to separate. They want to break away from Italy because they're mostly Aryans. They're Germans and Swiss of genetic makeup. They're not Mediterranean types. You got a lot of problems over there, and these economic issues are driving the fact that nobody's got jobs, nobody's making money. They're being overrun by people who need to be supported by a society that no longer can tax everybody because they're running out of money. The people are running out of money. Venezuela. Everybody's looking at Venezuela as an example.
Folks, Venezuela, I want you to make sure you fill up with that Valerio gas today. We boycotted Citgo.
Oh, Citgo.
Citgo. Remember, we boycotted, the American people boycotted Citgo because Hugo Chavez and comments he made about America. So Americans got upset, and we get upset, and we boycotted Citgo. So all Citgo did, and all Venezuela did, is the government gas company of Venezuela is now Valerio.
I thought it was a Texas company.
No, Valerio. I better Google that. I'll have to Google that while you're doing. Valerio, I'm pretty sure, is Venezuelan gas company. I don't think it's a Texas company. But anyhow, Hugo Chavez, they're all fighting over a loaf of bread down there.
They're killing over loaves of
bread. Yeah.
There's no food. You know who the richest person in Venezuela is? Hugo Chavez's daughter. She is the richest person in Venezuela.
George, I'm going to look that up because I want to make sure I'm giving people the exact information. But while I'm doing that, we always like to save time for your final thoughts of the day, and I want to make sure we have plenty of space for that. And I know you worked up something good.
Well, you made a comment a minute ago, so I've selected an earlier essay that I wrote. It's a workable solution, and it has to do with it all surrounds the incident in Orlando, and I call it an incident, the Islamic attack in Orlando. And this is, I call it a workable solution. And under Obama, of course, this will never happen, and certainly not under Hillary Clinton either, but the only way to effectively stop the Islamic assaults by homegrown jihadist terrorists and stop it dead in its tracks is to round up and interrogate every member of the local mosque that a terrorist frequents, and if it is determined their views are incompatible with American interests, collect all their documents, their credit cards, their driver's license, all their American documents, and then ship them back to the countries of origin. Step 2, level the mosque. I can already hear the outraged cries of racism and Islamophobia from the loony left, but I interpret those terms to mean effective self-defense. Readers should realize that there are really no radical Islamists because Islam, fundamental Islam, is radical. They all read the same book, and if they are called moderates, it simply means they haven't become active yet. They will. Obama created the Homeland Security Advisory Council, the HSAC, with a subcommittee called Countering Violent Extremism, the CVE, and he did that in 2010. Supposedly, this committee was designed to neutralize American law enforcement agencies' fear of Islamic radicalism. The source of that jihadism, of course, is Islam. After 6 years, it has become clear that the purpose of the CVE committee is solely to protect the U.S. Muslim community from potential hostile reaction to Islamic depredations like we saw in San Bernardino, Orlando, and other places. It is a propagandizing, brainwashing scheme. Consider also that Obama has filled the ranks of the Department of Homeland Security with radical Muslims as security advisors. The Director of Homeland Security, Jay Johnson, ignores the Islamic threat as insignificant, blaming instead Americans' now highly alarmed white conservative Christian population. He said right-wingers pose the same threat as Islamic jihadists, based on the claim that right-wingers had killed more people in the U.S. since 9/11 than had jihadists. No, they didn't. Where does he get that information? Out of his butt. The chief of police of Austin, Texas, a fellow named Art Acevedo, is a member of the HSAC Council, and he reminded the council that the threat from right-wing extremists domestically is just as real as the threat from Islamic extremism. But the right-wing extremists, if that's what they are, aren't doing anything. Only the Islamic jihadists are attacking. Doubtless, he echoed the opinion of the leftist media, the mainstream media, and political leaders of the Progressive Party, Democrats. Secretly, Johnson also echoed the sentiment and noted that the CVE, the Subcommittee on Combating Violent Extremism, by definition, is not solely focused on one religion. He's right. Christians will be the terrorists and Muslims will be the victims, according to their definition. Other council members, liberals all, stood up to stupidly repeat the potential dangers from the right against peaceful Muslims. In their infinite wisdom, they deemed it necessary to stop using the word Sharia and jihad when discussing Islamic terrorism so as not to offend Muslims or frighten Americans. A further note emphasizes that the report will be respectful of the communities it seeks to engage and will take into account those communities' specific needs, whatever that might be. The subcommittee report is Obama's marching orders for the FBI to follow in their quest, now a hopeless one, to protect Americans from violent Islamic jihadists. The recent murderous Islamic lone wolf attacks have nearly negated all the intended BS, hocus pocus, the CVE subcommittee intended to foist on our police to protect Muslims. The reaction so far has been muted but not forgotten. If Muslims continue to feel free to attack and kill Americans because we are supposed to fear offending them, then I think they have made a great miscalculation. Pretty soon our side will get tired of this and start fighting back. Count on it. Remember, freedom is the goal. Constitution is the way.
Valerio is a San Antonio-based company, is what you will find on their website. Okay.
Texas, that's
right.
Texas, yeah.
But Valerio gas stations equal Citgo equal Venezuela and Chavez. Okay, this was in 2006. If you don't want to finance the thuggish Hugo Chavez, democratically elected, in quotation marks, leader of Venezuela, don't buy from Valerio gas stations. This is a report that on the internet. You may have noticed Valerio stations popping up all over America. They are really Citgo stations because of the deserved stigma attached to the Chavez-controlled gas stations. Many Americans are not buying gas at Citgo. This goes back to 2006. And the stations are losing money big time. All right? Remember when people wouldn't stop it at Citgo. So with the smoke and mirrors of a name change, many Citgo stations are quietly changing from Citgo signs to emblems to Valerio. They're Citgo signs to Valerio. The excuse is that Valerio, a San Antonio-based oil refiner, is merely branding Citgo stations. Whatever new Venezuela affiliate stations are opening up at Valerio as well, yes, Valerio and Citgo are separate companies, but they benefit the same parties when the name Valerio is on a gas station, Venezuela and Chavez. Okay? So it is, if you look at it, you will see it as a San Antonio-based refiner.
All right.
Okay?
I believe you.
They took those emblems down and changed them to Valerio because of the stigma, and they were losing big money. So, there you go. Just say
I'm
it.
glad I'm well informed. I'm glad you're well informed.
I have
I'm glad
nothing.
that you believe that internet.
All right now. I have nothing else to do but be well informed.
Yeah, you're doing a good job.
George, we'll never know the motive.
I do not.
I'm going to leave here at 10 o'clock knowing the motive, right?
I do not lose sleep at night over motive.
I think I'll call a press conference and let people know I found the motive.
Yeah,
but I think I'll call and get all of them up there. Breaking news. I know the motive. Loretta Lynch didn't, but I found out this morning.
He didn't have love and compassion, did he?
Yes. Oh, folks, I don't know what to tell you. Trump's making the major speech today. Crooked Hillary.
What time's his speech?
Let's look. Trump ramps up his criticism of the Clintons. I don't know what time it says his speech is today. I don't see it here what time he's going to come out. But Crooked Hillary. Trump is tied in the polls of Pennsylvania. Trump is tied in the polls in Ohio, and I made predictions yesterday. He will win those. I like the idea that he may not name his vice president until the convention. I like
Wise.
that.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
very,
that.
very wise. Yeah.
It'll get people to watch. And let me tell you something. There's not been a boxing match, a pay-per-view event. If I was, this is my suggestion, okay? If I was the TV company, the network that got the first, that already has the deal on the first Hillary-Trump debate, I'd charge for it. I mean, even if it's just $2.99, I'd say, you want to watch it $2.99, I would charge for that sucker. This will be the biggest watched event. I mean, I remember when it was a big deal when Elvis was live from Hawaii by satellite. That was a big deal, via satellite, worldwide. Elvis live. Nothing. The thriller of Dangerous Donald and Crooked Hillary. I wrote that. Dangerous Donald and Crooked Hillary. That is going to be the battle within the ring.
You're a real poet, aren't you?
Dangerous Donald and Crooked Hillary. I can't wait for that.
You've developed this pocky sense of humor against which we must learn to defend ourselves.
I can't wait. That will be the most watched event. Tomorrow, EU may pull out. The England may pull out of the EU tomorrow. That may happen. Folks, if you go to Philadelphia, don't forget, put an extra nickel in your pocket or whatever. You got to pay the sugar tax. Okay, no sugar, right? Right, no sugar for you if you go there. No sugar, just going around here, around a little bit. George and I, tomorrow's Thursday. George and I will be back here at 9 o'clock. I will be back at 8. Don't forget, today at 10 o'clock, North Georgia's only live online newscast with Kevin Hensley. All of your update reports from the area. If you know of news or you hear of news, we have a 24-hour hotline. You can leave a message, 706-889-9700, or email chief@fetchernews.com, or show, that's simple, SHOW, if you know of any news. This will be the biggest story today, Brexit, and tomorrow will be
the results.
The results,
Is that in Trump's speech?
Trump's speech today, that will be
Trump all the news.
That'll be the top news. But what I'm looking at is nobody brought up on the floor that I can find. Nobody brought up the fact that how many people have been murdered in Chicago or our inner cities.
Black lives don't matter. That's
nobody's
why
brought it
Black
up.
lives don't matter. They do not matter.
Doesn't matter at all, does it?
No.
Nobody will talk about that. Everybody talks about the gun. Here's the story that I want to talk about in the last 2 minutes. Let me give you something to do this afternoon. You need something to do? What happened to the guy that was in Santa Monica that had 3 assault weapons of war in the car, magazines ready to go, I mean full magazines ready to go, and a bucket of chemicals that was ready to be mixed as an explosive?
You think he's in jail?
No. I don't. Well, I think
he turned himself in.
Yes.
Well, after that Martin was killed by the SWAT team.
Yes.
He turned himself in, and he saw himself as a patsy. And
but the lie we're being told. He wasn't on his way from Indiana. It's not like, and I keep saying this, he was already there in Santa Monica. And if you read the story on the Huffington Post, they come out and say all these things. He had weapons of war. Why are the Democrats not making a field day out of this story?
We got three people arrested at the Holland Tunnel.
Going through the tunnel yesterday.
They didn't quite get there.
Huh?
They had a broken windshield, and the policeman stopped them. And he saw those guns in the car.
Strangely enough, folks, I'm going to tell you, you might not think it's a big deal, but in the Northeast, when you're like in New Jersey and New York, you will get pulled over for a cracked windshield.
Well, California,
Will
California
you?
too, yeah.
Yeah, big time. Big time. You'll
That's
get-
a safety thing. Yeah.
Yes, you'll get pulled over real quick. So they had a cracked windshield, got pulled over. They had weapons of war.
Armed to the teeth.
Right.
I didn't say any hand grenades. That they had hand grenades.
Headed through the tunnel.
Yeah, but they had
Huh.
a lot of ammo going into New York City. Into
But
Manhattan.
Loretta Lynch
There's not
was
enough
down in Orlando singing "Give Peace a Chance" by the Beatles.
Love, compassion, and
Yes.
empathy, and that will defeat Islam.
Folks, as you well know, it's all about hate. It's hate, and all we need is a little more love and compassion in the world, and the flowers will bloom, and we will be happy in America again. And Donald Trump is dangerous. That's what they want you to know, the liberals. We'll be back tomorrow to argue that point again. And my good friend George and I, we got to take you out of here now. Stay tuned for North Georgia's only live online newscast with Kevin Hensley. I'm out of here. Have a nice day.
See you tomorrow. Bye.